Brad, before we start this stream, do a little song for this movie.
Tiptoes through the window, through the garden.
That was fucking beautiful. That was fucking beautiful. I don't know. Like, that got me all emotional. So before I start crying, let's go ahead and start the show.
Let's do it.
Take your best shot.
What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Will Hunting, where tonight we're going to be doing our live interactive review for Insidious. The new Insidious, The Red Door is going to be coming out in a few weeks, so we're going to go through this Insidious franchise. We're going to have some fun tonight talking about the OG, the classic, the 2011 freaking hit, or 10 or 9, wherever year it came out. We're going to get to that here in a second, but we're going to talk about it tonight, and we're really excited about it.
Dude, I'm freaking excited to talk about this. This is actually the one we're reviewing tonight, the one that started it all, Insidious. Brad, this is the second horror movie you ever showed me right after The Conjuring. So you pretty much started me off with two freaking bangers in the scare department.
Yeah, I figured, if you start off with those couple flicks, you can handle most movies, because these are when it comes to like jump scares and like just overall like being scared and feeling uncomfortable. This is one of the movies that's always done it for me quite a bit.
Oh man, he's getting all chugging up there, bitch. You can't talk tonight.
I'm sad about it.
Oh man, but guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So far, people of you in the chat, let's go ahead and address you all, and we will get started. We got Lamontra. What's going on there, my friend? You're doing? How you doing? We got Rosie. Here's your roast, my dear. How are you doing? Mega Cat. Hopefully you're not going to eat those kittens. Please don't, because I love kittens. They're adorable, and I would appreciate it. And Brother Fluff, we're saving you for last, just because we got to get that super chat there. But want to make sure we welcome everybody else. We got Chris Snyder. What's going on? Saying Insidious over The Conjuring. Ouch. Very ouch.
Dude, I'm not far off, man. I don't know what it's a 50-50 shot for me, man. They both have really strong things about them.
Oh my god. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm just not going to deal with it. But Heather, what's going on? Hello, friends. Yes, indeed, you all are our friends. Aaron Click, what's going on? Saul, where did you go? Where did you go? There he is. There's Byron. What's going on there, Byron? How are you? And the Fachi Monster, the fiery son of a bitch. How are you doing? What a beautiful group of peeps. And you know what? I could not agree more.
Our friend Heather said she doesn't see a poll. Is there one up right now, or is it?
There is one up right now. So Heather, try to refresh the page and it might show up.
Okay, sweet. Good to know. Good to know, man. So yeah.
Oh, sorry. We got Holly Klein here saying, I prefer Insidious. Never really got into the... Gosh, you're breaking my heart here. My heart can't take much more of this. But you know what, Holly? We still love to have you here in the chat. So how are you doing, Holly? Hey, Brad, I'll let you get Brother Fluff's freaking super chat here. What's going on, Brother Fluff? So whatever video you want to pick.
He dropped in, said $5, man. Much appreciated.
There you go. Thank you, sir. There you go. Thank you, sir. There you go. There you go.
Brother Fluff, he said, welcome. He changed your name too to Brother Fluff. I like that. Welcome to Good Will Hunting. Tonight we review. Well, hold on. Let me just back that up, because I read that wrong.
Yeah, so you got to get this right. You got to get this right.
I said it wrong. He said it right. Let's just put it that way. He said, "Welcome to Good Will Hunting. Tonight we review Insidious." It's gonna be fun.
You know what, Brother Flood Dead Gum, I know we had a stream a long time ago, like doing like poor names for horror movies. That might be one of the most creative ones I've ever seen.
Insidious, dude. I love it. That's
That
freaking
is
awesome.
absolutely beautiful. So, Brother Flood, thank you so much for the $5 super chat here in a minute. Once I see people like kind of read what the scrolling thing at the bottom does for upcoming goodies,
How
I
about
will.
Insidious 4, the lost nip?
God. All right, we're getting off task here. Dadgummit, y'all are making us horny. So let's see here. Oh, hello there, Castellar, Daniel Garcia. What's going on? Supernatural horror like poltergeist, superstition. Well, I know a song about superstition, and it's written on the wall.
Yeah. Superstition.
Writing on the wall. And Ashton, I'm not sure if I say hello to you, but just in case, hello, Ashton. How are you doing? And
Yeah,
he's
dude.
not a
Well,
fan of Insidious.
well, that's okay. Not everybody is, and we're glad to see people from all walks of life in here, man. We got fans of Insidious, non-fans of Insidious. Tonight, by the way, I know most of you guys have probably seen our previous live interactive reviews where we just kind of talk about the movie chronologically. We wanted to get a little bit more open forum tonight, bring you guys in. We got a few categories we're going to discuss,
Or in a
and
better way, we suck at chronological order, so we're just going to do this way. So
yeah, well, we wanted to feel more like the slash it outs because we always feel comfortable with those. So it's kind of going to be that same concept, just talking about one movie instead of two. And hopefully you guys maybe can throw in some questions and some comments we can get to because we do want to make this more interactive so we can all talk about this movie together. Even if you don't like it, man, you can tell us why you don't like it in the comments over here in the live chat. We'll get those points, man, and we'll see, maybe we'll agree with them. Maybe not. Maybe
yeah,
Brett will agree with one. Maybe I'll tell Brett to fuck off. You never know.
how dare you? But yeah, Brad's absolutely right. We definitely want this to be more interactive. And plus, you guys have the big responsibility tonight because you all get to decide the movie rating. Yes, that's right. Let me remove that banner real quick. You rate the movie, meaning that there's the poll in the chat, vote in it, and Brad will do the calculations towards the end of the episode, and we will give you that good, it's not called the good real rating. We were going to originally name that, but Brad came up with something even more spectacular than that. So be sure to get your vote in the chat right now. FAN, let's take a look here. So Brad, are you ready for me to pretty much, are you ready? Are you ready to dive into the further?
I'm always ready, Daddy.
All right. So before we really get into the further, we're just going to tiptoe in real quick. But we got to first, of course, thank our lovely Patreons. These are our real hunters. They're the official backbone of this channel. So once me and Brad fall off of a broken ladder, in fact, the ladder shouldn't be up in the attic anyway with a broken leg, we can rely on our real hunters to call in an ambulance and just, take care of us while we just go in that release. Relaxation of a coma. But we don't want to be there. I know you guys don't want us to be there. So if you want to help us be a real hunter today through Patreon, the Patreon link is in the description down below. Select the link, select the tier so you all could be real hunters today. But just in case if you're afraid of being the Patreon, we also got YouTube memberships available as well, so you can be real hunters on that. And as low as 99 cents, you can have some awesome perks like being on this lovely card here, some emojis, earn some badges, so much cool stuff. We got other tiers as well, so you all could be real hunters today.
Yeah, man. If you guys can't be on those lists, that's quite okay. Just being here is much appreciated. Liking the video, sharing it, subscribing, tell your friends, all that fun stuff. It helps out immensely as we try to hit our goals.
Absolutely. And of course, our goals, just to have a good time and just, make this channel the best way we can be. And you guys are a big responsibility of that. We love you guys for it. So, Brad, let's freaking do this with the movie facts. So let me get my voice cleared real quick.
Facts are the facts.
Here we go. Insidious was released on April the 1st of 2011. And yes, I understand that it technically got released in 2010, but I did some research on that. It kind of went around the film festival set like in Canada in 2010. But the US release, like in the theaters, the big time, was April the 1st of 2011, according to IMDb. Speaking of IMDb, this got a 6.8 out of 10. Very strong score for a horror movie, 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, where most of the votes come in at a 3. The tomato meter gave it a 66% by the critics, 62% by the audience. $1.5 million budget with a domestic box office of USA and Canada of $54 million. So this movie made bank, and globally it made $100 million. And of course, it's directed by our boy, the horror icon, legend, and directing James Wan, and it's cast by Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, Ty Simpkins. Oh, let me try that again. Ty Simpkins and Lynn Shay, the freaking legendary girl from freaking what's that movie, Brad, with the bowling ball and her doing the blah.
That's Kingpin, man. I wish everybody could have seen the video of you down there, like I did.
That would ruin the Lynn Shay character for you all, so I do not recommend that. No, I'm just kidding. And Brooke, how are you doing? They want to miss you there, Brooke. So Brad, anything that just stands out to you with these movie facts?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, this movie was a game changer, man. This came out right after the remake craze was going on there for a little bit. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Friday the 13th, even Nightmare on Elm Street was around the same time, 2010. So, a lot of stuff was just coming out. It wasn't really original. This movie came out, and it honestly did kind of shift things over a little bit to more of the supernatural stuff, and doing more things like this, because after this we had Conjuring, all kinds of stuff. But the reason I say this is because at the time a 66% was actually pretty damn good on Rotten Tomatoes for a horror film. We did not see a lot of movies get over 50 at that time. It seems like it was just a lot of, there's movies we all like in the 2000s, but most of them weren't critically acclaimed, so it's cool.
Yeah, and what the thing that just really astounds me really is is looking at Letterboxd. I thought a lot more people would really enjoy this, so I thought it'd be higher than like where most of the folks come in at a 3. I was assuming they would be like in the 4 region, so I was really surprised with the Letterboxd numbers.
Yeah, man. It's solid. It's not for everybody. Because there's a lot of things about it that's still kind of generic, but it's just done well. And that, I'll get into that here in a second, but it's
and plus without this movie from James Wan, we would never got The Conjuring.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of put him on the map for those kind of obviously this was his next step up in the horror genre from Saw, and obviously definitely more money here than he got for that. So.
Absolutely, man. And so, dude, those are our movie facts cards. And before we get in with our topics, got some freaking Rotten Tomatoes reviews to review, the good and the bad. But Brad, let's start off with the good for you. Let me remove that banner real quick. So there you go. Go ahead.
Rid of it, man. This is from Emily Killick, man. She's a nice lady. She's from Cineview. Cool name. She said, despite following a fairly formulaic narrative, Insidious pulls off more than the usual complement of spine-tingling scares and memorably grotesque imagery. And that's exactly what I was saying, man. If you look at it at face value, it's a fairly generic story, a haunted house story where, you get some ghosts and shit and some possession, like all that kind of crazy stuff. But it's done really well and it's effective. So the way that James Wan directs this movie, all these things, these jump scares and these little moments of suspense really just give you a memorable flick.
Yeah, absolutely. And Emily, since you came up with such a great fresh review for Rotten Tomatoes, show your beautiful face out there because you sound very intelligent with this review. So bravo to you, Emily, and Brad. Good find on the review. What I found is from Tim Brayton. Tim, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce that because I'll butcher it all over the place. I like you too much with this review, so I'm going to respect that from you. So what Tim freaking Brayton says here about Insidious is the delicious kind of creepy that makes for a great night at the movies if you're into that sort of thing. Hey, I'm into that freaking sort of thing, and Insidious definitely delivers on the creepy atmosphere. We'll definitely talk about atmosphere as one of our topics tonight.
For sure, dude. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So with the good, Brad, there's always the freaking spoiled rotten. So who did you find that spoiled rotten?
Fucking Dave, man. David Stratton from At the Movies in Australia. He wasn't really at the movies this year because he said, if the film was attempting to be more than just a horror movie, it doesn't work on that level either. Well, I got news for you, David. This movie is a horror movie, and it wasn't really trying to be anything that's not a horror movie. Not in this particular case. James Wan has kind of jumped out of that strict horror genre at times. This wasn't one of those examples, so I don't think you have to worry about that, David. And I think he did a mighty fine job at making this a horror movie.
I hope David gets beaten up by a kangaroo.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah, dadgummit.
Watch me read on the news like next week that he actually got trampled by a kangaroo.
Oh, dude,
and he's
I would
dead.
feel so awful. I'm like, dude, I was just joking, man. But seriously, I hope he gets beaten by a kangaroo. But who also could possibly get beaten up by a kangaroo is Catherine Bray from Film 4. She says, like the ghouls and ghosties, who the hell says ghosties? Ghosties, confronted by its characters, Insidious overstates its welcome. That could not be further from the truth. Or else, why in the world would we do Insidious 5? 5 movies, and doing 5 movies of any one particular franchise in a horror movie is an achievement, whether good or bad. So yeah, you're wrong, Catherine.
Yeah, get out of here. Freaking pound sand. Pound sand.
Dadgummit, Catherine. So those reviews were spoiler rotten. So before we dive in officially into the further to kick off this interactive movie review series of the franchise of Insidious, of course, for all these movies, they're going to be spoilers. So if you have not seen these movies, which Brooke, I saw you in the chat, you have not seen any of these, just wanted to let you be aware, because this definitely goes above our 5-year rule. So we are definitely going to go with spoilers into this franchise leading up to the 5th one. So if you've not seen them, watch the Insidious movies, come back and watch these live interactive movie reviews as we tackle each Insidious movies one by one.
For sure, man.
Yes, sir. So, all right, man. And once again, just in case if you just freshly came into the chat here, you rate the movie. So be sure to vote in the poll in the comics section right now, so we can be sure to get your voice in. So, Brad, I saw you got some comments here. Do you want to get through those before we tackle characters?
Yeah, just a couple things here, man. I saw Aaron Click said, I feel The Conjuring, Insidious, and Sinister were a horror trifecta around this time. Great era for demonic / possession horror. Absolutely, man. Those were my jam. Those are probably the first 3 movies I made Brett watch of that time period, because that's
what
exactly
was the third one? Oh, Sinister. Yeah.
Because I man, I was into those 3, man. I had them on repeat, Sinister especially. But yeah, and Insidious, man, all 3 of them were fantastic flicks.
Dude, absolutely agree with that. And I saw this. Let's see here. We did that one. I got
here from Rosie here as well. Possession horror needs to be really scary, or else it's corny, and that's exactly what this movie does well. It makes it scary. Later in the franchise, around Insidious 4, you can see it just tip right over into that corny territory. And yeah, you can see the both sides of the coin in this franchise for sure.
I'll be honest with you. When we get to Insidious 4,
don't say it. Don't say anything good about that movie. Don't do it.
Okay.
You like The Nun.
I'll wait. I do not like The Nun. I like The Nun 2, and that movie hasn't even come out yet. But you know what? We'll tackle that when we get to it. But I will get to talk about, or in this case, defend Insidious 4 here in a couple of weeks. So we're not going to tackle that just yet. But Rosie, you are right. Possession horror is one of those horror movies you have to nail the scares, or else, like you perfectly said, it's going to be corny as hell.
Yeah.
And SPC, what's going on, my friend? Say, hey, guys, I will say I really enjoyed the original film. Tiptoe Through the Tulips is so haunting. Oh, dude, yes, we are going to get to that freaking song, man. And I know Brad loves that song. And Ashton, I'm going to keep pushing The Nun too. So well, I'm not going to say get out of here, because obviously we want you here, but you stop it.
Here in about 6 weeks, whenever it comes out, Birdie's going to be in that theater alone, freaking crushing popcorn, maybe a couple of jalapenos, and he's going to be like, damn, man.
But, all right, so we're not here to talk about The Nun, because it's none of our business at the moment. So let's go ahead and get started with our first topic, Brad, the freaking characters. So we're going to talk about the very good characters, and there are a lot of interesting characters in this first movie of Insidious. So, Brad, which characters kind of stand out to you the most in this movie?
Well, obviously, I think that's a strong point of this movie, and what made it stand out above some of the other similar movies is the characters. Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, and Elise there, Lynn Shay. They kind of became freaking icons in this movie, man. I mean, just kind of the Lambert family in particular, I think was really compelling. They all do a good job, working with each other. You get that new family moving into a new house, and yada yada yada. Son gets sick. It kind of parallels The Exorcist a bit right there, right? Because how everything kind of kicks off anyway. But then Elise comes in here. She does, man. She comes in. We didn't know this at the time, but she would go on to carry this franchise after the second movie by herself. Even though she dies in this movie, it was cool. She's always been kind of a horror icon. Like the actress Lynn Shay has always been kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say a horror icon, but she's always been, a well-known horror actor, starting back in Nightmare on Elm Street. And then she's always, kind of come back into the genre. Yeah, that too. That was scary as shit. So it was cool to see her kind of get this big role. This is one of the bigger roles she's had. And she really killed it, man. And yeah, I mean, obviously too, you got the comedic side of it too, with Specs and the other goon. I can't remember their names, but I always call them.
I got it right here. Specs, played by Lee Winnell. Wonder where we heard that name before. And Angus.
He was the guy in Saw that did the cigarette thing. Oh!
Yeah, that guy.
He did a lot more than that.
And then Angus Sampson played Tucker. Tucker was the other one.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah, those goons, man, they were a lot of fun together too.
Yeah, and they were actually perfect for first off to vibe with the team of Lynn Shay, with kind of like that trio where she kind of treats everything seriously while the two goons are just like their natural loony selves. And they're definitely the comedy relief of this movie, because trust me, this movie definitely has a lot of creepy and just dark moments, and you need to lighten those because you can't stay at that tone forever in a movie. Definitely you need to kind of like some space to kind of like breathe and relax. These two guys definitely brought that comedic, and I didn't think they were over the top. I can see where some people think they were over the top. I don't get that at all.
No, I think it was perfect actually, because this is a really dark and this dark and scary and frightening movie that goes to really dark places. And I mean, if you let it keep running with that, it's not going to be something you want to revisit all that often. So they do bring that in there just to kind of lighten it up a little bit at certain times, but it doesn't distract from anything. It's not over the top. It's not like where it's like it's just full-time comedy. They have some good moments as well in the horror side of things. So it really works nicely. It's just, it gives some of these characters some life. So I really enjoyed it for that, man. I thought it was a good balance overall, and they were well done.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And just to kind of like rewind real quick, with freaking Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne, what freaking chemistry that had with each other. Like, you easily believe that they were in love with each other, they care about each other, and they were husband and wife. Like, they definitely had a strong connection in this movie. So I thought the chemistry between those two were great. And speaking of freaking kid actors, man, because kid actors are really a hit and miss sometimes, or sometimes they could even deliver you a grand slam. I thought Ty Simpkins, that plays Dalton in the movie, the kid that freaking gets in the coma for most of the movie, I thought he nailed it as an actor in this one.
He was pretty good at being in a coma, for sure. I think he did that.
Yeah, not much acting involved in that one. But I also thought, like, before and after that, I thought he was really solid. But definitely he gets a bigger role in the second one, and we'll get to that one next week, hopefully. But yeah, I just still wanted to give him a shout out real quick, just because it's amazing how years later he's coming back for the fifth one.
Yeah, and two things that I didn't quite mention. I in a lot of ways, this put Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne on the map. They kind of really became. Now they were in stuff before this, but after the fact, like obviously Patrick Wilson started doing The Conjuring, and now he's doing Moonfall and all kinds of crazy shit. You throw him anywhere, it makes sense. He's a badass. And same thing with Rose Byrne. She did Neighbors movies after this and a few other things. She was in Star Wars before, but nobody knew that until you saw this movie. So
and she was also in Troy too.
That's true. That is true. That is Troy, I should say. But anyway,
not Troy Bolton, but Troy, like, with the Greeks and Achilles and, that kind of stuff.
And my favorite thing about Elise in this movie is her intensity, man. She comes into these situations and she's just like, she does a lot of things. So we'll get into the scariness later, but she does a lot of things to sell these demons up before we even see him. Like when she's looking up in the ceiling and she sees the thing, she starts drawing on her little notepad. Just like the look she's throwing up there is really a big part of what makes this movie scary. You can tell that she's frightened. And she's just also on top of her shit, man. She's a solid lady, man. Really nice lady.
Dude. Yeah, absolutely. And I even talked with Brad about this. I would love, because I know one of the popular trends right now in horror is to make everything a TV series. I told Brad I would love to see Elise, like a Peacock series, of a young Elise, like in her teenage or young adult years, like hunting down these demons. I feel like that could be a really solid show.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, that's kind of what they were doing with the movies after the second one. And I mean,
Hmm.
I didn't like Lost Key, but what they did with Insidious 3, I liked it a lot. I thought that, it really worked. And you can make that movie with Elise and make it work, I think. But
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And so yeah, pretty much we tackled the main characters. And I know it's like, well, guys, we didn't even get to the demons. Trust me, they get their own section. We'll get to those creepy people. So,
those
is there
motherfuckers.
another character you wanted to talk about in detail?
No, I think we're good for this movie. I guess the mom comes in. She was serviceable. She was decent. She was actually good
Yeah,
as well. She has a
Barbara
small.
Hershey.
Yeah, she has a small role, but it's a very effective one at that. When she comes in, I feel like she was a little bit more involved in the second movie,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, she was solid. I liked her as well. It's a really solid cast. All the characters are likable at the end of the day. So I mean, it really worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, they're all likable. And the mother, I would even say she's one of the underrated. Her and Rose Byrne actually, which Rose's character is Renee. So both Renee and Lorraine. That's kind of funny. The mother's name is Lorraine. For Patrick Wilson. But yeah, both
Ah,
mothers are
his
both
mom is
very
his wife.
underrated. Exactly. Kind of weird, but also kind of awesome. But both of those mothers to me are very underrated mothers in the horror genre, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Hmm. So those are our characters. Let me go ahead and delete that. So Brad, let's get into the story of what in the hell Insidious is about, man. We need to describe it. So this because to me this was a really strong original story that Lee Winnell and James Wan came up with.
Yeah, it is, man. Like I said, it does kind of parallel Exorcist a little bit. It does kind of have some of that vibe to it. And again, it's still, a haunted house movie that we've kind of seen this kind of play out before. And really though, this is kind of the kickoff for a lot of the movies that came after. But of course, before 2011, we still saw movies like this. But this one did stand out again, mostly because of the characters and stuff. But the story is good, man. You have these people, they move into the house, weird shit starts happening after the sun falls and goes into a coma. We find out this demon's been kind of lurking around ever since the dad was a kid, and they had this whole thing when he was younger. So I like that how they kind of work that in through those little twists in throughout. It really keeps you on your toes throughout the movie because you don't know
Your
exactly what is going.
tiptoes.
Yeah, yeah. You really don't know what's going on because, like, you don't know. Uh, it kind of unveils that as the story goes along. So I like the way it does that, and you're trying to kind of see what's going to go on and what's going to happen, and you don't quite know. So it's a good story for what it is. I think it's one of the better little kind of haunted house possession movies.
Yeah, dude, totally agree with that, and especially just kind of like I was telling Brad, like kind of like with the one of the release movies of the Boogeyman. I felt like a way for it to improve that movie is to kind of create that uncertainty and kind of like doubting yourself as a viewer, along with the characters doubting themselves. And I felt like that this movie Insidious really tackled on that with the uncertainty because they absolutely had no idea what was wrong with Dalton, and us as an audience, we can't even explain what happened to Dalton, and because none of this is really like we've kind of seen before with this whole little reality called the Into the Further. That's what Elise calls it, which I think that's a very interesting name that has a lot of concepts behind of what into like going into the further is all about. So I thought that was a great original idea for a story, and just again, just this whole thing about like the dead and roams around there looking for a kind of like a body, a host, and that's pretty much what it's about. Frickin' Patrick Wilson playing as Josh. Gets to go into the further to go save his son from the evil demons that try to take over Dalton's body.
Yeah, right, man. Very effective stuff. And yeah, it's not too much really else. I think the
Plain
story
and
is
simple.
effective. Yeah, it's effective at the end of the day. Although, like I said, it's not this breaking case of writing. It works really well.
Hmm.
It's solid.
Yeah, It really is solid. Just again, just like playing it simple. It's always a thing that can get like any audience member into the story effectively. And I feel like James Wan and Lee Winnell really truly understood that concept. So that's why a lot of their movies have been really, really strong.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So anything else on the story?
No,
I know
man,
that was
we're good.
pretty simple, but
Yeah, easy peasy, man. Nothing crazy there. And if, like I said, if you guys have anything you want to add in about these categories, feel free to throw them in here. We will tackle them. We will tackle them for sure. But I do disagree with Maga
taco them.
saying Halloween Inn sucks. No, dude, Halloween Inn
Ah,
kicks ass.
come on, man. You gotta join the team eventually.
I like it, man. I like it. I like it a lot. I can't stop watching it. It's just one of those movies that draws me in.
Oh my
It's
god.
weird.
Brother Fluff says the Iron Sheik would have whooped the lipstick demon's ass. Yeah, man, with the camel clutch. Oh, the Iron Sheik. Harry. Oh man, but the Iron
R.I.P.
Sheik, man, I'll miss you, dude. R.I.P. He passed away recently.
Yeah, he did.
Thank man.
Legend.
R.I.P. Iron Sheik. So, Brad, let's go ahead and tackle the freaking atmosphere to the movie, man, because this movie definitely had atmosphere. So let's touch upon this, dude.
It does, man. Just they take this house in this movie. It's a fairly, I mean, it's a nice house. It's a kick-ass house. Everybody wants to live there, right? Wrong, because once it starts hitting the fan, it makes you feel so uncomfortable about this place they live the whole time. Even though there's nothing crazy going on, it just, I mean, well, there's plenty of crazy things going on, but they make you feel uncomfortable in this place that looks like it should be pretty comfortable. And of course, when they start throwing in the further stuff later in the movie, which that was kind of a groundbreaking kind of thing to throw into this movie. That was one part that was really different from some of these other movies we've seen. It was just really cool, like it was kind of like the upside down on Stranger Things before that even became a thing. It was like you're going into this other version of your world where there's some real dark shit out there. Demons are there, and people who've died here before, they're there. All kinds of crazy stuff's going on. And I really like the creativity behind that. And when they start walking through there, just the design of it was really nice and eerie and just made you feel weird. And it really did feel like a completely different kind of side of the universe. So I liked it for that.
Yeah, man, and definitely what really sets the atmosphere in this movie, because you're definitely right. When you first step inside this house, you kind of could tell something is off about this place, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what until like shit really gets going. But what I really find impressive with this movie with James Wan and Lee Winnell is just the way they shot this movie, like with the filter of the screen, making it feel like really dark. Because like, did you see kind of like the difference between this movie and Insidious 2? How Insidious 2 is a lot more cleaner with the
Mm-hmm.
quality of the camera, like.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and I'll mark on that with Insidious 2 next week of kind of why I didn't like that more colorful approach. I thought this approach with how they presented this movie was really, really sets the atmosphere to a whole nother level, especially when we get to the middle act of the movie. And definitely the further with how they freaking designed it and the concept of it definitely sets that atmosphere as well.
Yeah, man. It's just you have this uneasy feeling throughout all the movie, even when nothing's happening, because it introduces some of these things kind of early on. Anytime the characters are in the house, daytime, nighttime, it doesn't matter. You always just feel uneasy about it, man. You always feel like there's a threat around the corner. You always feel like, you never feel like these characters are safe at any point. Doesn't really matter what they're doing. You just don't feel that way. So I really like it for that. It's always effective for me. I always have that kind of sense of, like, I guess you could say a sense of doom or a sense of, just, I mean, definitely a sense of something's not right in this place. Kind of the hair on your back of your neck's always standing up when you're here. So I like it. They did that. They did that.
Yeah, absolutely. They did that. And just to go back to the story part already, again, where this makes it original story, how most possession movies or just like movies in general, like a house is possessed or something like that. But this time it's really that it's as what our thumbnail says perfectly right here. It's not the house that is haunted, it's your son. And I thought that was definitely something cool, that a empty vessel is the one that's causing all the hauntings versus a particular house. And at least best explains it. It's like a piece of chewing gum that gets stuck on your shoe. It follows you wherever you go.
That was a good description, man. That was a good description. You also got to look at, like, that scene where you know, it kind of goes into the scare zone. But that scene when Elise comes over and she puts her crazy mask on, we saw it earlier in one of the clips, and they're all sitting around doing this seance and stuff. You can just kind of feel that connection with the other world. And it just, yeah, man, it's just really well done and just creative. That room with the lights off and the candles blowing and all that stuff like that. It just, again, man, it's freaky. Even when you're not getting jump scares per se, there's always that sense there about it.
Definitely unpredictability about this movie on a first watch for sure. And then the second time, you just see a lot more details, and they even still to this day creep you out too. And we'll definitely get to. Actually, that could be a nice segue if you're done with atmosphere.
Yeah, dude, let's crush it.
All right, let's freaking crush it. And this is your idea for our topic, and I love it. And that's the freaking scare factor into this movie, the freaking scare levels. So, how scary is this movie? Is this like the top line scare of like a top tier, or do you think it's not as scary?
Well, just look at that motherfucker right there in the picture, man. That'll answer your question. I think this movie,
crack-headed brother.
honestly, this is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And it still does even now. I've seen the movie 25 times. It's still, every time I watch it, it creeps me out because there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think they nail all of them, music being one of them. You start the movie off with this freaking violin. This is before anything starts. It's just the opening title credits. You get these crazy ass violins that already makes you feel like you fucked up and putting this movie on.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting the Tiptoe song, which really is fucking eerie. And that's what, even when she plays it at the daytime, it's on the record players just spin around. She's home alone. This is after they move back to the old house. And you're like, oh, we're safe now. Not really, because this tune starts playing. She's chasing fucking kids around her house that don't even live there. They're not even there, per se. These are ghost fucking kids. They pop up. That one scene where she's walking through the kitchen and you can see that kid, the same kid, standing in the corner, just facing the corner, like the guy from Blair Witch. That shit's fucking scary.
I didn't realize that until like on like fourth or fifth watch ever. Like when you kind of noticed that, I was like, dude, that's actually really bone chilling. Like again, it's like Lee Winnell and James Wan are really making you pay attention to what's going on screen.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that, like, probably 98% of people, the first time they watch it, they're not going to see that. And they put it in the movie anyway. And just because it's there, like, it literally does give you goosebumps every time you see it. And again, it's something that most people aren't going to see the first time. The only reason you do the second time is because you know where the story goes. You know that kid's there now, and he kind of stands out a little bit more. But the first time, you have no idea what she's about to get into. You're following her, you're tracking with her, and that's just kind of off on the side. And it could be like a piece of decor, like in your peripheral. It could be a piece of decor or whatever. So it's creepy as fuck. It's weird. But dude, I talked about the stuff with Elise earlier, her intensity, her looking up at the thing and being all freaked out while she's drawing this demon. But, it has plenty of those good moments of suspense. But this movie has two of my favorite jump scares of all time as well.
Ooh, I definitely know one of them, but save it because we'll get to memorable moments as one of our last topics. But so I definitely know one of them because it's one of mine. But I am interested to kind of know your second one. I was wondering if it possibly is the second one that I'm thinking of too. But for the scare factor, Brad, again, just being a jerk that he is, definitely wanted to introduce me into the horror genre with the two scariest movies known to mankind, Insidious being number 2. And dude, I was a nervous wreck about this movie. Was I as much of a nervous wreck about this movie than The Conjuring? No. But was I still a nervous wreck, like scared out of my mind? Do I really want to watch this movie? Definitely wanted to watch the movie because of Brad. And I was starting like, hey, there's something into this horror genre. But dude, this movie absolutely terrified me on first watch. Because it wasn't really the jump scares that got me. It was the build up to all those jump scares. And kind of like you've been touching upon, Brad, it's just the sale of fear of not only of Rose Byrne, because she does an amazing job selling fear into this movie. And when a character can sell fear, they can kind of like really like get to you, like kind of like oh shit, if this character's afraid, I'm going to be afraid. So I thought they just on a scare factor level, this movie definitely, I wouldn't say it's like top class, like very high up there, like God tier, or in this case, Roman Reigns tier, but definitely like middle to high range tier for a scare factor movie.
Yeah, I'll save the main jump scares for later. The two that we talked about, I'm sure they'll both come up. But There's another one that's really effective in this movie, and that's when Rose Byrne's in bed. She's chilling, just hanging around, having a good time, and that dude's out there walking on the porch back and forth, and then all of a sudden he fucking is in the room. He's in the room. And this is nighttime. This always freaks me out, man. I'm like, what the fuck? How did he get in the room? That shit always freaked me out. It has jump scare after jump scare that's so memorable, more so than any movie. I think any other movie. Honestly, this might be the best movie when it comes to jump scares, specifically because they're all well earned. But the whole movie has that pace about it to where it's like, oh, bam, 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 oh, jump scare, oh, I'm scared, bam, 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 oh, jump scare, oh no, I'm scared, bam, bam, bam. And then kind of once you get to the third act, it kind of slows things down a little bit and they go into the further and the music kind of subsides. You get this kind of like, they have that metronome going on. So you kind of hear that going, tick, 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 except it's slower than that. And they're walking through the, the farther, and you're trying to absorb this world in because this is completely new territory for you. And there's all kinds of weird, fucked up shit you're seeing there. And then you actually come face to face with the red-faced demon, face to face with the one that is the red-faced demon. And yeah, that's all like an intense battle and stuff like that too, man. I mean, and then you have to get the characters out of the farther. They're kind of stuck in this whole situation. And then the ending itself is fucking scary, even after you think that everything, dude, the ending is so good, man, because you think that everything is great. It's all hunky-dory. Like we got Dalton out. We're all good. Let's go back to freaking celebrating birthdays and drinking tea and
eating
all kinds
pasta.
Of eat pasta's good. Read a book or two. Play some piano. Whatever it is that you want to do, do it now. And it's good. Everything's happy ending. No, wrong. Elise gets that camera out because Paul, or I don't know who Paul is, but the dad is being all weird. Josh is being all weird over there. She takes the picture and it's the woman in black, and then she freaking races at him. Which the woman in black was also scary as shit. We'll get to her in a minute, but
actually, that'd be a nice transition.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, all that stuff goes on. The ending's scary as fuck. Just leaves you feeling scared and ready for more, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get just kind of like tackled the opportunity of your segue there when you mentioned the woman in black, more people just decided to join us in the chat here. Want to be sure we get to them. We got Robert the Wolfman. What's going on, my friend? Gory Tiger, I saw you. What's going on, Gory Tiger? Mail from My Killer Podcast. What's going on there, Killer? And then Jamie Hart with a cool comment here. And Jamie, how are you doing? Saying, I didn't like Insidious much the first time I watched it, but over time it grew on me. Now I love it.
Hell yeah, dude. It's one of those for me that it got better and better the more I watched it.
Especially like when you notice the things that you weren't really like paying attention the first time, like the attention to detail about the movie. So absolutely agree on that. Yeah. But Brad, it's time for one of our main event topics. The one pretty much where most people came here to talk about. We got to talk about the freaking demons in this movie, man. Because definitely we got our two popular ones, but you know what? There's some underrated demons in this movie I like to discuss as well. So which demon to you is the most important demon, and also your underrated demon?
Well, obviously, look at this freaking fucking creepy asshole here. This one was always effective in this movie, although she plays kind of a smaller role, the woman in black here in this movie, than she does in the second movie. She's also very she makes a big impact, man. The opening of the movie is just them working. That's going back to the atmosphere too. The opening where the camera just kind of goes through this one take through the house, and it's nighttime, and it comes around the corner, and the witch is there.
James Wan loves to show off the setting of the movie all the time.
Shit, yeah, dude. That shit was awesome. She made a big impact there. And then obviously at the end of the movie too, like we're just talking about. Obviously the red-faced demon here is probably, I mean, he's like the champ of the movie, I guess. Like he's like the main bad guy, the final boss.
The selling point.
Yeah. He's a decent guy. He's just trying to get his toenails clipped. Like he just needs some time to clip his toenails and listen to Tiptoes.
Dude,
and
he's got
hooves. Like I said I can't remember what video that was. Instead of clip toes or tiptoes, it should have been clip toes. That's the song he was looking for. Clip toes through your window. Yeah. So he was like, yeah, he was fun, but he was responsible to a lot of good scary moments. The Darth Maul thing, he does eerily look like Darth Maul, so that kind of throws me off a little bit. And I honestly think it kind of detracts from him a little bit. Because I always think of Darth Maul when I see him, but it's still very effective. scary, and you can talk about his actions and stuff as well. But those are good. And the underrated one, like I said, is the one that pops in from the deck when he's walking outside and he comes in. The guy with the white face and stuff. He was scary as hell too. He shows up at the end too at the red door.
Oh yeah, dude. That definitely a good underrated one. But definitely the most popular one, yeah, in this movie is definitely the red face Darth Maul's crackhead cousin. I like to call him, which you're absolutely right. At first time watched it, he used to scare the shit out of me. This time around, honestly, he doesn't scare me that much anymore because it does get distracting that he does take a look like Darth Maul in a lot of ways too. And plus, kind of like that last act where he was like climbing on the walls and stuff, kind of like really, like I was like, this kind of thing with this demon did not age very well to me. Like, if you just like again kept him in the shadows and the dark and all that, just barely show him how they were doing a great job doing that in the middle of the movie. Absolutely super effective. So I'm actually going to go on this ever. And in fact, the most like important demon in this movie, of course, is the woman in black, because again, that kind of gives all Josh's background story, and the whole background story of how all this even happened is because of this old evil she bitch, I like to call her. And what's also cool about the she bitch, the woman in black too, that I was going through Letterboxd and I noticed. Let me find the guy real quick. First off, Joseph Bashira, a great horror movie music composer, does the music for The Conjuring. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Fun fact: the red-faced demon is played by Joseph Bashir.
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry, kind of spelled different. Yeah, Bashira, the composer of Insidious and The Conjuring. Actually, Chris, I'm going to change that around real quick because the red-faced demon is played by Emily Brospicht, according to Letterboxd. That's why I'm showing, because what Joseph Bashira. Oh no, actually, I apologize. So I'm an asshole. So Chris is right. Fuck me. Bashira does play the red-faced demon, who also plays Bathsheba in The Conjuring. So, want to give Joseph a quick shout out for being a creepy son of a bitch.
Bashira plays Bathsheba? No way.
No, I swear to God.
Bashara Bathsheba. Dude,
yeah, Joseph Bashira plays Bathsheba. Bashira plays Bathsheba on the Shaba.
That's crazy, man. That's a lot of schpas.
Yeah, so no, Chris, yeah, you're right, dude. I don't know. I'm seeing you in the chat right here. I apologize. It's my mess up.
That is correct.
Oh my God, Chris Farr. That is correct. Freaking not Tommy Boy. What movie am I thinking of here?
Billy Madison.
Billy Madison, yeah, freaking classic movie. So yeah, I wanted to give that, man. But to me, the most underrated. And Chris also said earlier, I love the demons in this movie more than the ghosts in The Conjuring. And I was going to defend that concept real quick. It's because The Conjuring, Bathsheba's the real demon in the movie. The other demons they show in the movie were like the poor unfortunate souls that got defeated by Bathsheba. Being possessed and all that, and doing the terrible things to their own family members. So I don't consider them demons. I consider them more like friendly ghosts in a way, trying to tell their story, trying to warn the family. But definitely in this movie, there are definitely demons galore in this movie. And to me, the most underrated demon in this movie is that freaking family, where the family is just watching TV, watching TV, reading a book, and then the other sister freaking gets this gun and starts shooting up her whole family, man, and do that creepy smile at the end of story time.
That shit was fucked up, dude. The farther brings some crazy ass shit, man.
Dude, yeah, and I would even like to have like a little like mini episode, kind of like with my idea, like kind of like covering that whole story, because I was really intrigued by it. Of course, they did like a Cliff Note version of that story, but definitely to me, those were my most underrated demons in the movie.
I could concur with that, man. I feel good about it. I do think this movie, as far as in the franchise goes, has the best ensemble of demons. There's a few. I mean, the other movies do a good job of bringing stuff, but this movie has the best ensemble for sure.
Mm-hmm. I would easily agree with that. Like in terms of the franchise. Bitch, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. But yeah, those are our demons. So let's go ahead and do the fun topic of the night. That everybody, I want to hear the chat like on this particular topic of memorable moments. So chat, let us know your favorite moments because me and Brad are about to address ours. Our memorable moments. And of course, after this one, we're going to get into our final thoughts and a rating. So that's when you need to be sure to vote on the poll because Brad's going to be doing numbers after we do this topic here.
Yes.
So, Brad, what are your memorable moments about the movie?
Dude, man, my favorite moment in this thing is like I said, my favorite jump scare of this movie. And that's when the Lambert, the adults are hanging out in bed, they're chilling, they're having a good time. We're talking about Josh and Renee. They're laying in bed. All is good. Like everything kind of feels good at this time in the movie. Like we're good. Like the lights are on. Like we're feeling good. And then the alarm goes off, and then freaking Josh runs downstairs. The alarm is blaring. It's loud as shit. Like it's fucking like it's already just makes anytime the alarm goes off at nighttime, it's scary just in and of itself, man. It's not what you want to hear at nighttime. He runs down there. The door's wide open. He's like, "What the fuck's going on?" He shuts the door, turns the alarm off. He runs upstairs to the baby's room, and that creepy ass fucking demon is back behind the crib, dude. It's the best. That is the scariest shit. It's fucking intense, man. And he says, "I want the baby," or whatever he said.
Where's the baby?
and the monitor. But dude, that shit was, and it was so like subtle and almost like that. You could almost miss it watching it because he's behind that sheer or whatever. So you can almost miss that at first glance. But just with the music and everything, and Rose Byrne's reaction, dude, it was freaking. It was intense, man. It was scary as shit.
Oh, dude, that was easily Rose Byrne's best scene in the entire movie. Like her best acted scene was selling that fear, the scene you just talked about. And actually, Brad, that was scary scene number 2 you just described. It's just it was just so simple. She was just walk to the baby's room, and again, says you gotta pay attention, like again to the detail. Like you probably I didn't really. I almost did not see it at first glance the first time I watched it. It definitely the scare affected me more on second glance because after watching Insidious 2 and they go more in detail that particular scene, and we'll get to that next week
because it's ramped.
Yeah, dude, and
it's ramped up
really
to 11.
Sold that? Yeah, dude, do you know what sold it? No music, and when they do no music, it really sells the fear more.
Yeah, it's ramped up to 11 because you're already on edge because this alarm's going off, and it's just the pace is just nonstop from the time the alarm goes off until that jump scare at the crib. And it's honestly one of my, again, it's like my favorite directed jump scare. I think it works so well because you are kind of expecting something to happen, but not that. And it's good, man. It's intense. It's always giving you goosebumps, even though you've seen it 1,000 times.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And then, of course, we got to talk about the thing about the movie, possibly one of the greatest jump scares of all time. Aaron Click brought it up, and as you saw from our little picture before we entered this topic, the scene at the table with the demon behind Patrick Wilson is the most memorable moment. Freaked me out, dude. Brad was grinning like the Chester cat when that thing happened to me on first watch, dude. Because again, like it kind of play off the cliche. Not a lot of scary stuff happens in the daytime. Wrong. This movie decided to really challenge you of being creeped out in the middle of the day, and this was the ultimate scene. Definitely, I would say one of the top 10 best jump scares of all time.
Yeah, for sure, man. We're gonna do that list at some point. Top jump scares. I think that both of those have a good chance of making it on there, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, the end of the movie, memorable moment. We already touched upon that already, where we thought everything was all good, happy, and everybody's going to live happily ever after. But unfortunately, the woman in black got to possess Josh's body. What a big twist that was. And to even kill Elise and all that, just that whole ending, like that last scene of the movie definitely is most memorable one of the most memorable moments in the entire movie, and I would even say the entire franchise as well.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah, so absolutely. So guys, I want to get your thoughts on what some of your memorable moments here, because I know Brad's doing math time. Do you need the poll, Brad? Not for
I have it right here
on the Facebook one.
Oh yes, please.
Yes, let me get that to you real quick. So, one momento, guys, one momento, because we want to make sure we get these numbers right here. So, Brad, 48 votes, 42 yes, 6 no.
48. Got it. Thank you.
All right, you're so welcome. Thank you. So go ahead and get those numbers down. I'll address the chat here. Chris says when Josh first enters the further and you can't see shit, just like he can, brings the audience along for the ride, dude. Absolutely, dude. Because again, as an audience member, we don't know what the further is, along with Josh doesn't know what the further is. So it's kind of like we easily relate to the Josh character in that particular moment of time. So definitely agree with that, dude. So great comments. And then Aaron Click says here, oh, wait a minute, we already got that one, so my bad. Again, still a great scene. Definitely the most memorable scene of all time. Destiny, what's going on? How are you doing? We're just talking about memorable moments in the Insidious franchise. What's one of your favorite moments in the movie? As we're getting ready to wrap things up here. Kyle, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing? So let's see here. I don't want to make sure I'm missing anything. Aaron Click gives it a B plus for Insidious. So hail to the yeah. B plus is a really strong score. So we are caught up in the chat. So again, we're going to go into our final thoughts and a movie rating. But if you guys definitely have another question or even a memorable moment that you really like that we haven't even mentioned yet, be sure to let us know in the comment section. We'll get that addressed. So let's take a look here. Okay, so our final thoughts and a rating of this movie. So Brad, I'll go first as you're tidying up those numbers real quick.
Okay.
Final thoughts about this movie. First off, just wow. Another just step in the right direction for James Wan and Lee Winnell, just building up until that like their grand successful film of The Conjuring, especially for James Wan. That is definitely really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed rewatching it. It's been a couple of years since I rewatched the Insidious movie or just the franchise in general. Definitely great mood and atmosphere, great characters that you could get behind it. Definitely scares the crap out of you when you least expect it, because this first movie was definitely unpredictable. So what I am going to give it, I'm going to give this movie a strong like 4.25 out of 5 for me.
Ooh, I like it. I'm still kind of crunching some of these, but I got it. I'm good. I can go ahead and throw you my score out there for sure. This again is one of the most rewatchable horror movies for me, especially at the 2010s of that genre. It's one of the ones I've gone back and watched the most. And in a lot of ways, I do like this movie more than Conjuring. I think it's scarier than Conjuring. I think the characters might be better in Conjuring overall, and the story's probably better too. But as far as scariness goes, I'd give the nod to this movie. It's always been effective. It's always been something that I like to watch with people who maybe new to horror or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's a 4.5 out of 5 for me, man. I think it gets a little cheesy at times, a little corny. And it's still kind of basic as far nothing too complex about the narrative here, but they do a really good job with it. So yeah, I'll give it a 4.5.
Nice, dude. So with your 4.5 and my 4.25, it's a very extremely high. It's kind of like as high as you can go before you hit prime time. So, but it's just barely
before you
I know that absolutely made no sense. Let me try that again.
It made all the sense. I love it.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Yay. So this is a very extremely high Dance with Jimbo. Hell yeah. So that is and then of course you gave some awesome, amazing thoughts to it. So Brad, I'll let you finish that up. So guys in the chat, let me see what y'all are talking about here. Ashton gives a 2.5 out of 5, which is around the C plus. So yeah, Ashton, I know you're not a big fan of this franchise, but for not being as much of a fan of that particular movie, in my opinion, that's still a pretty solid score.
Yeah.
And then we said earlier, Aaron Clay gave this movie a B plus, which that's a really good rating right there itself. So that's kind of like how I do. It's like a B plus, more like an A minus than anything for me.
Yeah, dude. For sure. So let's see what you got. You guys ready? You ready to see what the people?
Yeah. Do you got this loaded up here?
2 things here we did, man. We polled the peeps of Killer Flicks, the horror fans out there, to see how many people like the movie as far as horror fans, and we obviously you guys decided the score here tonight as well. So let's see what it came out to. 88% of horror fans like Insidious, and you guys here in the room tonight gave it a B on the letter grade, and that was actually surprising because most of the votes came in at an A. Really, 14 out of 20 were an A, but there was actually a couple of D's in there. And not the nuts, not these nuts, just a couple of D's.
Take him. I was about to get your ass.
That I think slowed it down a little bit, but it's still B. B is pretty solid, man. B is pretty solid.
Yeah, B is solid, but I feel like this movie just, I would say, if more than anything, deserves a B plus, kind of like how Aaron Click gave this movie rating. Definitely B plus, especially kind of like how you said, Brad, what it has done for the 2010s in the horror genre. Definitely being one of the most popular ones. So a B, little disappointing, but you know what, guys? It's not up to me and Brad. It's up to you guys, and we respect your guys' opinions on this movie. But definitely agree with the 88% from the horror fan rating on Killer Flicks.
Yeah, man, I think those are good numbers. That's about what I would expect, I think, overall. Because I know a lot of people, obviously, it kind of gets overshadowed a lot by The Conjuring and a few other things. But yeah, it's still a very solid flick, and I'm glad to see most people at least like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or hopefully one of our reviews can change your mind about this franchise too, and to give this franchise a second chance, because there's nothing good than a second chance, especially when Insidious 5 get ready to come out here in a couple of weeks. And I know we're very excited about that movie, which I will say, do not watch the second trailer for Insidious 5, because once again, Blumhouse gives away way too much.
You don't have to worry about that with me, man. I've not watching it. I actually have done pretty decent at not watching trailers lately, so I feel good.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's see here. Let me go ahead. Oh, sorry. I'm cleaning up some stuff here. So we could do a show on freaking Friday. So Brad, anything else you want to talk about Insidious before I get into like what's coming up on the channel?
No, I feel good. I think we covered it pretty decent. Looking forward to doing the second one.
Hell yeah, man. And our objective right now is to do the second one next Tuesday, but it all really depends on, because we're working on another potential stream for next week. But I should know more about that tomorrow. So I'll get you guys in, like, kind of like informed of what kind of is what's going to be like for next week on the channel. But for what we can guarantee, Fo, is this Friday we're going to be doing Jason X Watch Party. It's a live watch party continuing our Friday the 13th Watch Party series, and we're bringing the boys over from Flopbuster of Tony and Gabe. Gabe really enjoys Jason X, so what better people to have on this channel to hear why Gabe likes this movie so much, and to see if we can increase our watch score for this movie. So I'm looking forward to it. That would be this Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And again, hopefully next week we can do Freddy versus Jason. But again, I got to check on scheduling wise for that. And and for our next live interactive movie review, once we can get to it, maybe next week. Again, all depends. For Insidious Chapter 2, I got some really good thoughts about this movie. But the main question you have to ask yourselves is this movie better than the original?
If you just look at this poster, man, it looks like she's ready to hammer some boards, man. She's got her hammer out there. Couple of kiddos, they're ready to start passing over boards, and she's gonna. It looks like she maybe just put that floor down right there, actually.
Yeah, she's ready to freaking nail this particular movie, because she easily gets a lot more to do in this particular movie. So I cannot wait to talk about that. And then let's see here. What else do I have here? Oh yeah, and not this coming Sunday, because it's Father's Day weekend, but the next Sunday at noon Eastern time, it will be Back from the Dead, the June episode, where we get to talk about the horror movie anniversaries. Me and Destiny got some good horror movies to celebrate. So definitely good movie. You don't want to miss that particular episode. And that is, believe from my math, June 25th.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yes, it is. So Brad, anything else?
No, excited to get back on the Friday the 13th train this week. Looking forward to that. And thanks for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys in the chat, or if you're watching after the fact, what do you think about Insidious from 2011? Do you really think this is an effective horror movie? Definitely, or Do you think this is definitely one of the most popular movies coming out of the 2010s? Or are you like some other people, you do not like this movie and Darth Maul's crackhead brother scares the shit out of you? Let us know in the comment section down below. Let's get that discussion rolling.
Yes, and if you want to have us find the good reels, you can do so by finding us on all of our socials. They're in the description right down below. So check them out. Take a gander.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and end it on this question. This will kind of be our last thought of the night. Omen or Amityville tonight?
I'm gonna go with. It feels actually more like an Amityville night.
Oh,
Myself.
see, I was on the Omen side of things because that creepy little bastard, But and plus, I heard that Amityville is such a slow movie too, so I personally go with the Omen.
Yeah, I just it feels like it's getting a little warmer out. Amityville makes me think of yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of makes me think of Jaws a little bit, even though it's not, quite the same, but same ballpark, I guess.
If it's the remake, definitely Amityville all day, every day.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds without a shirt on, chopping some wood, having a good time with the boat, man. It's yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. Oh, sorry, I was daydreaming there. But yeah, so Mega, you really honestly can't go wrong with either choice. So that's a good way to end it on. Everybody's pretty much saying Omen in the chat. So do Omen. So we'll go ahead and see you for this Friday for Jason X Watch Party. And guys, have a great night and finish your week out strong.
Yes. Down, 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 down.